Okay, let's just dive right into this, shall we? Have you ever stopped to wonder why some businesses just seem to sustainably grow year over year, while others hit a massive ceiling and absolutely burn out? I mean, you see it all the time, right? Two founders, exact same industry, exact same initial hustle, but one scales this massive empire, and the other stays permanently trapped in that daily grind. So what's the actual difference here? Well, spoiler alert, it's not just luck, and it's definitely not just working harder. It really all comes down to leverage and strategy. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to unpack exactly how you can build that leverage. Think of this as a high ROI masterclass. We've gone ahead and synthesized some of the most absolutely critical business principles from top industry sources into 7 highly actionable strategies for better entrepreneurs. If you actually implement what we cover today, you aren't just going to run your business, you're going to scale it. So here's our roadmap for today. Step 1, start smart and validate. Step 2, map your value structure. Step 3, strategic pricing and acquisition. Step 4, friction and referral loops. And finally, Step 5, create leverage to scale. Let's get into it.
All right, phase 1, start smart and validate. You know, too many people, especially what Forbes brilliantly calls wantrepreneurs, fall into this huge trap of doing busy work just for the sake of feeling busy. They'll spend weeks obsessing over marketing plans, designing the absolute perfect logo, or forming an LLC before they have made a single sale. Let's be totally honest here. A beautifully formatted 40-page business plan might make you feel like Steve Jobs, but it doesn't pay the rent. All this does is create massive analysis paralysis. Execution is king, folks. Focus on the outcome, think from A to Z, and just take that immediate next step right in front of you. You can deal with the administrative hiccups later once the revenue is actually flowing.
And this brings us right to validation. There's this brilliant story that perfectly illustrates this. A real estate developer, featured in Forbes, really wanted to test a software-as-a-service idea. A recurring revenue model that didn't naturally fit his main business. But before spending tens of thousands of dollars building software that maybe no one wanted, he simply wrote a blog post. He offered his internal investment spreadsheets, and the response was just insane. He literally started getting emails every 2 minutes. So what did he do? He put a minimal viable spreadsheet up for sale for $500, cleared cash almost instantly, and only then hired a co-founder to build the real product. The downside risk was completely mitigated. The lesson? Validate first, build second.
Moving right along to phase 2, map your value structure.
When you are making that transition from being a hustler to being a real CEO, you absolutely need a bird's-eye view of your landscape. A stakeholder analysis tells you exactly who you need to manage closely versus who to just keep satisfied. And doing a proper SWOT analysis to understand your core strengths against your competitors, that highlights exactly where your business can improve. Now, I know a SWOT analysis sounds like a corporate buzzword, but it's really a practical command center. Acknowledging your vulnerabilities early on paper is going to prevent incredibly expensive pivots later on in the real market.
So, from your broad strategy, we zoom right into your revenue structure. Let's look at how to build a value ladder. Take a health coach's ladder, for example. It logically starts with a free recipe ebook, right? You do that to build trust. Then, it steps up to a $25 monthly membership, then up to $197 group coaching, and finally, that premium $597 one-on-one coaching. You can use a similar brainstorming template to structure your very own ladder, starting from free opt-ins all the way to high-priced offers like custom websites or sales funnels. The key takeaway here, you never ask for the highest price sale on day one. You step them up, delivering increasing value at every single rung.
Okay, into phase 3, strategic pricing and acquisition.
Our fourth strategy revolves around calculated pricing, specifically the loss leader strategy. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs are terrified to lose money on a single sale. They often protect their pride over their profit by flat out refusing to discount, which honestly ends up costing them massive long-term market share. Intentionally taking a small hit on a front-end product can actually be your absolute best acquisition tool. Think about the classic grocery store anecdote. They will sell milk at cost or even take a loss on it. Why on earth would they do that? Because they guarantee you'll walk through the door, and while you're there, you're going to buy high-margin bread, eggs, and cereal. The milk is literally just the bait. But look, this isn't just some short-term sales tactic. It's a long-term investment. Let's break down the math real quick. In the medium term, you're tracking customer acquisition cost against customer lifetime value. But the long-term ROI, that is where the magic really happens. The formula is pretty straightforward. Take the lifetime value, multiply it by your new customers, subtract your campaign costs, and divide all of that by the costs. Finally, multiply by 100. Let's put that into perspective. If you spend 50 grand to acquire customers who eventually bring $500,000 in lifetime value, well, that short-term loss on the front end is actually a massive, highly calculated win.
And that feeds perfectly into strategy 5, the marketing rule of 7. You can't just put your loss leader out there once and expect a massive flood of sales. The rule of 7 dictates that a potential customer needs at least 7 encounters with your brand across multiple channels before they make a purchase decision. Seeing an Instagram ad, that's 1 touch. Getting a retargeted email, that's 2. Seeing a digital display makes 3. You get the idea. Repeated exposure builds familiarity, and familiarity builds the ultimate currency in business, trust.
All right, moving to phase 4, friction and referral loops. I want you to consider this statistic a serious, urgent wake-up call for your business. According to Kayako, a whopping 74% of consumers say they will completely abandon a brand simply because the buying or support process felt like too much work. Let that sink in. They aren't leaving because your product is bad, they're leaving because getting help or making a purchase was just full of unnecessary friction.
The real cost of that friction is absolutely staggering. Businesses with poor support, they retain just 33% of their customers. But companies with a strong, frictionless, omni-channel strategy, where support agents know exactly who you are without you having to repeat your entire life story every single time, they retain 89%. That's a huge difference. Removing friction isn't just about speed, it's about context and consistency. In fact, brands that master this can charge up to a 16% price premium simply because they are just easier to work with.
And when you remove that friction, you create incredibly happy regulars. Strategy 7 is how you mobilize them, the 3-touch referral loop. And the best part? This doesn't require expensive software. Step 1, identify your top 20% of highly engaged regulars. Step 2, give them a natural 1-sentence ask with a simple non-discount incentive, kind of like a free add-on or an upgrade. Step 3, log it and take exactly 5 minutes every single Friday to send out thank you notes. That is it. Executing these 60-second actions consistently can be life-changing for a business. A single, well-connected regular can organically bring in 10 new customers a year with virtually zero acquisition cost.
Finally, we arrive at phase 5, create leverage to scale.
Business strategist Jay Allison lays out a fantastic framework for sustainable growth utilizing the SCALE model, which heavily relies on the 3 T's of leverage. First up is transactional. That's leveraging your expertise, packaging your offers, and clarifying your message so it basically sells itself. Next is transitional, doing a time audit, doubling down on what is predictably working, and increasing that lead flow. But the true holy grail of the SCALE model is the 3rd T, transformational leverage. Scaling isn't just about building fancy marketing funnels, folks. It's about shifting your actual delivery model from one-to-one to one-to-many. Creating online courses, licensed software, or group coaching programs that allows you to handle exponentially more capacity without completely burning yourself out.
Now, to achieve that transformational scale, you must ruthlessly guard your time. You should be dedicating 25 to 30% of your working hours entirely to business development. Seriously, I challenge you to conduct a time audit this week. Look closely at what you're doing. Aggressively outsource your admin tasks and your onboarding. If you aren't spending your time generating leads, networking, and doing strategic R&D, you are bottlenecking your own growth.
I want to leave you with this really powerful quote from Forbes. Focusing on 10 things with just 10% effort is a surefire way to mediocrity. Don't become that person. True leverage demands intense, laser-like focus on the few bottlenecks that actually move the needle in your business. It means having the discipline to abandon half-finished projects, block out all the noise, and actually see the most important initiatives all the way through to the end.
So here is my final question for you. Which of these 7 strategies are you going to execute in your business today? Will you finally validate that idea you've been sitting on? Will you build out your value ladder? Or are you going to start your Friday referral loop? Please, don't just passively watch this explainer and move on with your day. Pick one phase, take immediate action, and start scaling your business right now. What's your first move going to be?